Welcome, everyone, to the ProcureDesk strategy session.
It's good to be here.
For the last several weeks here at ProcureDesk, we've been looking deep into the 2026 forecasts. We've been synthesizing all the latest economic data, the market signals, and what we found is leading us to a single, really definitive conclusion.
And what's that?
For the coming year, cost reduction is not a choice. It's not some budget line item you might consider. It is the definitive, non-negotiable strategy.
That core thesis is something every finance and procurement leader really needs to internalize right now. The reality facing, mid-market companies in particular, is just extraordinarily intense. You're under pressure to deliver better quality, often with fewer resources, and the whole economic landscape is tightening around you.
Yeah.
So strategic planning, specifically around your core spend management, it's no longer about, incremental improvement. It's critical to surviving the competitive shakeup that 2026 is already promising.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little, because we're not just, ringing an internal alarm bell here. The market data actually backs up ProcureDesk's thesis completely.
It really does.
We've got the validation we need to confirm precisely why our methodology is so critical right now.
Well, if we look at that external validation, the figures are, frankly, stark. The Deloitte CFO survey for Q3 2025, it really provides the evidence we need. What's fascinating here is that corporate cost expectations have risen so sharply.
Invariably.
They're hitting levels we haven't seen since the intense pressures of the 2022 energy crisis.
Wow.
That comparison alone tells you everything. 2022 was just characterized by these extreme reactive cost increases, supply chain shock, fuel prices, inflation running wild.
I remember.
So the fact that finance leaders are now feeling that same level of defensive pressure, it suggests they're anticipating a really protracted period of margin fragility.
So if they're feeling that defensive crouch, what's their number one priority, according to the survey? They're not looking at aggressive expansion or big M&A deals, are they?
Absolutely not. No, they are looking for stability and protection. The crucial figure that just jumped off the page is this.
Why?
66% of CFOs rate reducing costs as a strong priority for the next 12 months.
66%.
Think about that for a second. That's 2/3 of global finance leadership saying explicitly, this is the most important thing we have to achieve.
Because they're pulling back.
Completely. They're shifting away from all those expansionary strategies and just doubling down on cash control and cost reduction. They're realizing the only way to safeguard the business is to control what they can control.
And right now, that is operational expense.
That's it.
And that transition brings us directly to what we're calling the New Year problem. This is the structural trap that mid-market leaders are facing as they internalize this mandate to cut costs. Historically, when business gets tough, the gut reaction is often to, shore up defenses by hiring, right? You hire another accounts payable specialist or a tactical buyer, maybe a new purchasing coordinator.
And that is precisely the failed strategy heading into 2026. You just cannot hire your way out of this crisis.
Why not?
The cost pressures are hitting you from two separate colliding directions that make adding headcount just counterproductive.
Walk us through that collision point.
Okay, first, you have persistent high wage inflation. The data shows that average wage costs have risen by about 3.5% over the last year.
So it just costs more to keep the lights on.
It costs significantly more just to maintain your current people, let alone expand. And second, your margins are shrinking. A net 47% of CFOs expect their operating margins to decline.
Oof.
So you're paying more and more for labor while bringing in less revenue for every dollar of product or service you sell. That squeeze is intense.
And if you layer the productivity crisis on top of that, it becomes the ultimate trap.
Exactly. The Deloitte survey identifies poor productivity as the joint highest external risk-facing businesses. It's rated 62 out of 100. This is a massive drain.
And for mid-market companies specifically.
When we look at them, they have a unique vulnerability here. They typically don't have these large, dedicated procurement teams. It's extremely common to see the accounting staff who are already a highly paid, specialized resource handling both AP and tactical purchasing.
Meaning they are stuck processing paper.
Precisely. That specialized, expensive labor is being poured into an administrative black hole.
What does that look like day to day?
It's manually scanning invoices, manually keying data into the ERP system, manually chasing email approvals for purchase orders. That manual intervention is the productivity risk made tangible. It's an unavoidable margin killer.
And it not only increases the cost of AP, but it diverts your valuable staff away from strategic work.
Yes, like cash flow optimization or, vendor negotiation.
And that strategic diversion, that opportunity cost, that's an insight that so often gets missed, doesn't it? It's not just the salary of the AP clerk.
No.
It's the lack of time for the CFO or the controller to focus on the big picture.
It's absolutely essential context. Every hour spent manually resolving a disputed invoice or chasing down a non-compliant purchase order is an hour not spent looking at the efficiency of the general ledger or optimizing the company's working capital.
Right.
And in an environment where 66% of your peers are cutting costs, you just can't afford to lose that strategic focus.
So we're addressing this directly to you, the listener, who might be nodding along right now, maybe recognizing that backlog of paper on your own desk. If you try to navigate 2026 with the same manual resource-heavy processes you used in 2025, you are simply going to struggle. The economic pressures will squeeze your margins to the point of being uncompetitive. You cannot afford to throw people at this problem when wage inflation is up 3.5%. and productivity is rated the top external risk. It is time to implement automation as your new defensive strategy. If that description sounds exactly like your current situation, if your finance or procurement teams are struggling with fragmented spend, manual processing, a complete lack of real-time visibility, then let me tell you, you need to fix this problem before January 1st.
You really do.
Waiting until Q1 to tackle this means you've already lost crucial margin at the start of the most cost-sensitive year we've seen in a long time.
The time for passive planning and, just hoping for better economic conditions is over. You have to be proactive. Don't wait until the new fiscal year starts.
So what's the move?
Head over to ProcureDesk.com right now and book a demo with our team. Let us show you the 2026 playbook and get you set up before the new year hits and these economic pressures just intensify. Secure your margins now. That's ProcureDesk.com.
Now, let's pivot from the problem to the solution and get to the core of the ProcureDesk methodology, automation as the defensive shield.
Okay.
We talk often about savings through negotiation, getting better prices, but we identified cost avoidance as the critical strategy for the defensive finance leader. We should probably be clear about the distinction there.
This is a vital difference. Cost reduction is tactical. It's what you do when you negotiate a better price for office supplies or, say, travel. That's great, but it's limited.
Right.
Cost avoidance is strategic. It's preventing money from going out the door in the first place. It's stopping bad or non-compliant spend before it even happens. That is the defensive shield CFOs are looking for.
And it fundamentally changes the profitability profile of the business.
It does.
So why is waiting until month end for reconciliation, which is what most traditional accounting systems rely on? Why is that fatal to margin protection?
Because by the time you see the general ledger report detailing where you're over budget, the money is already gone.
It's too late.
It's too late. You've already committed the spend, the PO has been issued, the item's been delivered. We know CFOs are looking for a mechanism to control spending defensively right at the point of origin.
And that is exactly why we built features like real-time budget control directly into our ProcureDesk platform.
Yeah.
So explain how that works, mechanically.
Sure. Traditional accounting systems, they only show you what you spent historically. Our platform is engineered to show you what you are about to spend.
Ah, a forward-looking view.
That's the fundamental shift in control. Our mechanism tracks every single penny of spend against GL codes, departments, or specific projects in real time. So if an employee submits a purchase request that exceeds the remaining budget for that specific code, the system doesn't just, passively notify someone later.
What does it do?
It flags it and stops the request immediately.
It effectively acts as a security guard on the budget line.
Absolutely. The spend cannot move forward. And this happens before the purchase order is ever finalized and sent to the vendor. That's cost avoidance in its purest form.
Just stopping bad, non-compliant, or over-budget spend before it becomes an irreversible expense.
Exactly. And for mid-market companies who often suffer from that fragmented budget visibility, automating this control can reduce overall annual spend by 2 to 3% through this one mechanism alone.
Okay, that takes care of budget control. But let's circle back to that productivity crisis highlighted by the Deloitte data. We know automation is key, but the traditional failure point of most procurement systems is adoption. If the tool is cumbersome, employees will just bypass it, grab a corporate credit card, and your compliance drops to zero. That's the skepticism I hear from listeners all the time.
And it's a critical point, and it's one we proactively solved. We address compliance and productivity at the same time through a dual automation strategy, and it starts with the user experience.
Okay.
We know the primary failure point is complexity. People will always revert to email or credit cards if the procurement system is difficult.
So how do you make procurement feel easy?
We designed our solution to provide an Amazon.com Dash-like shopping experience. We do this through what we call punch-out catalogs.
So the user isn't shopping inside some rigid internal form.
No, not at all. Instead, they shop directly on the vendor's actual website, whether that's Amazon Business, Staples, Grainger, or, a specialized IT supplier. They fill their cart just like they do at home.
Okay.
When they hit checkout, the cart automatically routes back to ProcureDesk for all the necessary budget checks and compliance approvals.
So the user gets the speed and familiarity of shopping online, and you get the mandatory control.
Exactly. This guarantees 100% compliance with effectively zero training required.
Because everyone knows how to shop online.
Everybody knows how to do it. And this instantly eliminates what we call maverick spend, those purchases made outside the system, because they're always using contracted vendors and approved price lists without even realizing they're in a sophisticated procurement system.
That handles the front-end adoption beautifully. Okay, now let's talk about the back-end administrative burden, the thing that's tying up those valuable, high-cost accounting resources we discussed earlier.
Right. This is where we deliver the massive productivity boost through touchless processing. We tackle that immense administrative cost tied to invoices. In the mid-market, most companies are still manually spanning invoices, validating them against the PO, and then manually keying that data into the ERP.
Which is a pure administrative expense that adds zero value.
Zero value.
So what's the replacement for chasing down those three pieces of paper, the PO, the receipt, and the invoice, to make sure they all match up?
Our system uses optical character recognition, or OCR technology. It automatically scans the incoming invoice. It then performs a three-way match.
The three-way match.
It compares the original purchase order against the goods receipt confirmation against the new invoice details. And this whole process used to take a highly paid employee valuable time to do manually.
And if they all align perfectly.
If the PO, the receipt, and the invoice all match according to the rules you set, the system requires no human intervention.
So it's approved automatically.
The invoice is processed for payment automatically. That is touchless processing. Your accounting team only has to touch the exceptions, maybe 10% of invoices that need a human review.
Which allows your resources to stop being data entry clerks and start focusing
on revenue-generating activities, strategic vendor negotiations, optimizing cash flow, and providing proactive financial oversight.
And the data confirms the power of attacking both sides, right? The front-end control and the back-end productivity.
It really does. When you look at the industry benchmarks, organizations that automate sourcing and the full procure-to-pay process typically realize 12.8% annual savings.
12 point.
Compare that to the 5.6% achieved by those who rely on manual or non-automated methods. That difference over 7 percentage points is transformative. And it's sustainable because you're attacking everything at once. Negotiated price, budget compliance, cost avoidance, and administrative overhead.
That percentage difference is the difference between surviving 2026 and thriving through it.
It is.
It's not just tactical savings. It's about strategic impact. Efficiency is how you win in 2026. It's about securing the margins that allow for future growth when others are struggling.
That's right. And this impacts the ultimate metric the C-suite truly cares about: company valuation.
Right.
When you talk about saving money, you're not just reducing operating expenses for the quarter, you are fundamentally increasing the underlying value of the business.
Let's put a clear number on that for the listener.
Okay. If you achieve a $100,000 expense reduction through better controls and automation, that money flows directly to your EBITDA, your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
So a direct 100K impact on EBITDA.
A direct impact. And if we apply a conservative 5x valuation multiple, that initial $100,000 savings translates immediately into a $500,000 increase in the company's valuation.
$500,000. That's why that 12.8% figure is so compelling. Finding just a few $100,000 of valuation increase through compliance and automation, it just changes the entire trajectory of the business.
Especially now.
Especially as the market shifts toward these defensive priorities.
The market is moving now. With 66% of finance leaders prioritizing cost reduction, Your competitors are already looking for ways to preserve margins and increase their competitive position.
You can't get left behind.
Don't let your reliance on manual processes, on email POs, on manual invoice keying, on waiting until month end to see budget overruns. Don't let that be the drag on your margins and your valuation in the most cost-sensitive year we've seen since 2022.
The knowledge is clear, the urgency is real, and the methodology is proven. You know what you need to do to prepare for 2026. Let us help you find that 12.8% savings and secure your competitive position. The time is now. Go to ProcureDesk.com right now, book your demo, and let's make 2026 your most profitable year yet.